Welcome into the Arrowhead Addict halftime show. The Atlanta Falcons lead the Kansas City Chiefs 14-13. It's been a back and forth game so far. Sterling, what are some of your big takeaways as we hit halftime of this game?
The lack of explosive plays offensively. I mean, yeah, the first comment right there from Phantom. Mahomes is averaging 4.7 yards per completion, 27 attempts, 128 yards, a brutal interception in the end zone. Justin Simmons, of course. I mean, let's be real now. It's tradition at this point. They must have some sort of contract where he has to throw at least one interception to Simmons every time they play. Again, I'm not going to panic because, again, the Chiefs, I think, played better as it progressed. I like Mahomes taking what was given to him. That is in part why it's 4.7 yards per completion. But I do think the lack of explosive plays, not just in the pass game, but the run game as well, has been a little bit of a detriment. The defensive line finally starting to get some pressure on Kirk Cousins. That obviously comes as two Atlanta Falcons starting offensive linemen went out. Turk Wharton, great. Chris Jones is gobbling up double teams right there. And then FAU unblocked, had a great sack and what ended up being a fumble as well. But definitely a lot of things to work on for the Chiefs.
Yeah, you mentioned it right there. I think kind of the turnaround play of the half was Tershawn Wharton with that strip sack or the knocked ball that turns into an interception by Shamari Connor. Missouri S&T Miners digging deep. Tershawn Wharton forcing that was huge. That was an opportunity for the Falcons to go down and maybe extend their lead, or at least keep the Chiefs at a 14-10 deficit. Being able to get that field goal, the Chiefs get the ball after half. Maybe they can double up. As to the explosiveness of the offense, this is something that we're seeing all across the league. We've got Mel Kiper going on ESPN telling people that they need to ban two high safeties, which is just wild. Discussion for another day. But the lack of explosives, I'm not surprised by this. You've got a pretty decent pass rush with Matthew Judon, Grady Jarrett, two really decent safeties that have both really done well against Mahomes and Jesse Bates, and as you said, Justin Simmons. I'm not particularly surprised that the explosive plays have been limited. What I've been surprised by is the intermediate. They've fed Rashee Rice in this game, but where is Travis Kelce? I put the man on the milk carton. It just feels like the offense has done its best over the last couple of years when it is centric on two or three guys. And so far, it's felt like, we got to get Noah Gray plays. We got to get Samaje Perine plays. We got to get Carson Steele plays. Let's get Xavier Worthy. It just feels like they need to simplify and go to Kelce, Rice, Worthy, and just keep it simplified, compact. And that might help some of the chunk plays come.
One thing I want to touch on is Wanye Morris, because I've been really focusing in on Wanye. There's only two reps that I feel like he's really lost.
Yep.
He's had two reps where I go, okay, he got beat. And that's going to happen. One was a confusion because the linebacker actually swung around and just ran by him. It was a little of a confusing stunt almost. And it was difficult for any tackle to pick up, especially a second-year guy playing his first start of the season. But after both the times he got beat, what happened? He bounced back in a big way and had maybe two of his best reps of the entire season. So overall, I've actually been very impressed with what Wanye Morris has done. We can break this entire game down, obviously post-game, but I don't know how you view the defense overall. They got destroyed early on. Drew Tranquil, Najee Johnson got completely befuddled, confused what was going on when Bijan Robinson was lined way out wide, left a wide-open Drake London touchdown. Kyle Pitts brought in a nice 50-yarder. But outside of those couple explosive plays, the defensive line stepped up. The linebacker stepped up. They've made some good tackles. Nick Bolton's played a lot better overall. But again, that also coincides with the two Atlanta Falcons offensive linemen going out. I think Atlanta's going to struggle to move the ball in the second half if those guys can't come back in.
Yeah, to your point, after the opening script, the Falcons went right down the field on the defense, and it looked pretty bleak. And honestly, what was the softest roughing the passer call we've seen recently? Feels like there's a new one every week. That drive would have ended there, and that's the play that the Falcons hit, that big explosive play to Kyle Pitts. The Chiefs continue to struggle against tight ends. I don't know what it's going to take to get Jaden Hicks on the field. Obviously, we're in love with Jaden Hicks because we haven't seen him fail us yet, so maybe he won't be the answer either. But Justin Reed against tight ends, I don't know what more they need to see there. And that was not a matchup that I was excited to see. But yes, the defense has really tightened down pretty well. That touchdown drive was mainly aided by a roughing the passer call and one big chunk play. They've done a great job at limiting Bijan Robinson. That outside zone is something that was bread and butter for them last week against the Eagles. I thought Collinsworth did a nice job of highlighting that. They've done a great job of holding down Bijan Robinson in the run game. They've limited some explosive plays. On the other side of the ball, we talked about the running backs and how this is going to look. We've got an even split of carries for Carson Steele and Samaje Perine. Both have looked serviceable. I do think that you miss that explosive element of Pacheco, though. It's very obvious that big explosive run, 10, 9-yard gap chunk that they get, it is missing from this offense.
I want to give a huge shout out to Raymond Chandler for the super chat. Appreciate you, Raymond. Says, I trust Reed and Spags would just at halftime better than the Falcons coaches, but I agree something is off with the Kelsey magic. Yeah, I agree. Again, I do think part of that is the Chiefs, I think, would win either way. I think it helps a ton with the two offensive linemen down for the Falcons. That's when that's where I think the defense really took a huge step forward, especially the defensive line getting pressure. I trust them to adjust. But yeah, something is missing because I think they in the middle of the field should be open. Worthy is going deep often, taking guys with them. The Falcons they love their two safeties. They're great safeties. And they're taking away a lot of the deep explosive plays. You think the middle of the field should be open. Rashee Rice is thriving there, which kind of brings me to, I guess, maybe my last point before we come back is Mahomes. Again, he's human. He's going to have bad games. He's not been the best to start the season, but early on, he made some low throws. He's underthrowing guys. Xavier Worthy had a knocked up ball away from the defender in the end zone. He obviously threw the interception. That throw, obviously, Rice could have caught and ran for a first down, but it was behind him. I would like Rice to make that catch, but we've seen Mahomes make much better throws. I don't know what's going on with Mahomes. I don't know if it is the Justin Simmons factor, but he almost looks timid out there. And I thought the offensive line, for the most part, held up pretty nice for him.
Yeah, I don't know if he's just not trusting the protection. He's stepping up pretty well. Like we've seen some of his better plays this particular game be when he's stepping up in the pocket. Let's also keep in mind that right now, like it just feels like, and I've noticed this from the fan base a lot too. Everyone has so much consternation of push the ball deep, push the ball deep. I've seen it in the chats here. Patrick Mahomes just won a Super Bowl with having one of the lowest average depth of targets of any player in the NFL. I too would like to see them push the ball, and I know that was the hype all offseason. They lost one of their more consistent deep threats for the year with Hollywood Brown, and Xavier Worthy's a rookie who's 165 pounds. I do think that it's going to take time for Mahomes to get on the same page with Worthy down the field. It's very clearly not clicked yet. They've not tried to use McCole Hardman in that facet at all. He barely takes any offensive snaps. To me, the concern for Mahomes is just like, why has the Kelsey connection not been there as much? And because that's something that has been so key for this offense. It's just third and Kelsey, right in the middle of the field. It's right there every time. And they fed Rashee Rice here. And, you get your good Justin Watson corner route. But that's the one thing that I feel like has been missing. The deep stuff to Rashee Rice or to Xavier Worthy, it'll come. And also, Patrick Mahomes threw the longest touchdown pass he threw the last game than he would have all of last year. It was a longer pass than he threw all of last year to Rashee Rice. So that part of the game is coming along. And really what matters, like, just win, baby, right?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we're at the part of the dynasty now where the Patriots were, where the national media and everyone freaks out the first couple of games of the season, where we just sit here and go, my goodness, what's going on? Is this team crumbling? What's going on with Tom Brady? What's going on with Mahomes? He's not looking like the same guy. He's struggling out there, interceptions. And then what happens come December, January, and then February? Yeah. The Lombardi's getting hoisted. Again, They're playing 20-game seasons. I'm not worried. Again, things could be better. But we saw what happened last year. We saw where the Chiefs were at this point last year, and we saw what it ended up being. I'm going to go and try to have a cooler head this time around, especially try and take more of the positives long term, which, again, is Turk Wharton looking good, Wanye Morris looking good, Justin Watson yet again on a third down making a big catch, and then Carson Steele and Samaje Perine, as we're talking about, looking serviceable in the Pacheco role.
Yeah, and I mean, remember, this isn't NCAA. Like, this isn't Georgia versus Middle Tennessee State. Style points don't matter. Just win, baby. That's all that matters. Real quick, Sterling, before we get out of here, final score prediction from you. Do the Chiefs pull it out?
Yeah, I think they do. I think the Falcons, again, struggle to move the football. I think the Chiefs' defensive line feasts, again, with those two offensive linemen out. I'll say 27-20 Chiefs. I'll say the Falcons get 2 field goals.
I'll go 27-17 Chiefs.
Okay.
All right. Well, that'll do it for us. Make sure you tune back in right here for the post-game show, whether it's a victory celebration or a defeat, sad party. You want to be with us either way. Thanks for tuning in. And as always, go Chiefs.